Welcome to our presentation of the Starbucks case study. In this presentation, we will cover a background of the Starbucks company and an examination of the company from 4 organizational frames. First, we will examine Starbucks through the human resource frame. We will see the focus on creating the third space and the focus on having the right people in the right places in the organization. Next, we will examine Starbucks through the symbolic frame. We will see the importance of symbolism as the Starbucks logo becomes a recognizable brand icon. Then, we will examine Starbucks through the structural frame. We will see how process and procedures have become a prominent part of an organization struggling through inconsistent performance and overexpansion. We will then look at Starbucks through the political frame, a fairly new trend for the organization, and explore the impact and implications of leadership's choice to engage in the political arena. Finally, we will summarize our examination of Starbucks through the 4 frames and the implications for the organization. We will now explore Starbucks' background. Starbucks opened their first coffee shop in 1971 in Seattle's historic Pike Place Market. The name, inspired by Moby Dick, evoked the romance of the high seas and the seafaring tradition of the early coffee traders. In 1981, Howard Schultz, Starbucks chairman, president, and chief executive officer, had first walked into a Starbucks store. From his first cup of Sumatra, Howard was drawn into Starbucks and joined a year later. A year later, in 1983, Howard traveled to Italy and became captivated with Italian coffee bars and the romance of the coffee experience. He had a vision to bring the Italian coffeehouse tradition back to the United States, a place for conversation and a sense of community, a third place between work and home. He left Starbucks for a short period of time to start his own Il Giornale coffee houses and returned in August 1987 to purchase Starbucks with the help of local investors. Starbucks had strong financial results and incredible success in the marketplace from their public launch in March 1992. From March 1992 to March 2006, the stock experienced significant gains, largely driven by opening new stores both in the United States and globally, as well as acquiring other companies to be integrated into Starbucks. By 2006, Starbucks had grown to 12,440 stores. In 2003, Starbucks purchased one of their largest rivals in the coffee house business, the Seattle Coffee Company, the parent company of Seattle's Best Coffee. In 2000, after an incredibly successful run, Howard Schultz stepped down as chief executive officer of Starbucks, but retained the role of chairman of the board. Towards the end of its 30th year, Starbucks began to experience trouble. Starbucks' massive expansion led to nearly tripling the number of stores from 5,886 in 2002 to 15,011 stores in 2007. In 2007, the rapid expansion began to cause significant trouble for the company. For the first time since the company went public, they experienced a decline in customer traffic. The disappointing results from the decrease in traffic and sales led to a significant drop in the stock. By the end of 2008, the stock had dropped over 50%. For the first time since its launch, the Starbucks organization faced an incredibly tough economic environment, declining sales, and found itself struggling to meet both investor and consumer expectations. In 2008, chairman of the board Howard Schultz removed Starbucks CEO and reclaimed his role as CEO. Immediately, Schultz set to work with drastic moves to right the company. On February 26, 2008, Schultz closed 7,100 stores for 3 hours to retrain baristas and managers on deliver product and experience that consumers expected from Starbucks. Another 4,000 licensed stores were closed over the following days to provide retraining as well. Schultz made the decision to close 600 underperforming stores, laying off 1,000 employees, and refocus the organization on the customer. The turnaround in performance was notable as early as March 2009. Starbucks has continued to experience success in the market. As of October 21, 2011, Starbucks operated 9,031 stores and licensed an additional 4,776 stores, posting $11.7 billion in sales and $1.7 billion in profit. Now that we have explored Starbucks' background, we will examine the organization through the human resource frame.
As unlikely as it might seem to some, CEO Schultz has always advocated love in the workplace. The human resource frame must find that good fit to grow and empower its employees and a successful business operation. At its heart, Starbucks wants its people to be happy. As one manager with 10 years Starbucks experience explains, if we are never treated well, we'll never treat our customers well. Yet, a departed manager feels Starbucks is moving away from its human focus. Ideally, the leader using the human resources frame will find the fit between what is good for the organization and what is good for the individual. On the other hand, one of the pitfalls of this frame is the notion that all personnel seek growth and collaboration. Denny Tuza, a previous Starbucks manager, left the organization because he felt that the operations were moving away from the HR frame to a lean, structural frame. Today, I would describe Starbucks as transactional in nature. I would not say they are operating on minimal staff hours, and many of the store managers are required to spend a lot of their time on the register. Thus, development is more like training, and the managers in the stores are highly directional. A lot of checklists are used and feels like they don't want the employees to be thinkers and doers, but only doers and executors. The company has spent a lot of resources on developing lean principles around the tasks of the businesses. It's not unlikely to see district managers and or regional directors doing motion and time studies rather than coaching and developing. Perhaps the departed manager was not reaching out enough. In a local shop, Starbucks seems to do well with the HR frame by geographically aligning stores to help one another. A current manager shares with us the power of Starbucks teamwork in a local community. Each store is unique. It is unique to its community. There are 12 stores in my district, but this varies by geographical location. This is our team structure. We are built to support one another. We build off each other's strengths and weaknesses. Clearly, collaboration is working when one manager can rely on 11 other close-by store managers for immediate assistance. However, it seems Starbucks may be struggling to balance all of the frames, as it overcorrects with structural suffocation for some and continues to expand its corporate social responsibility and increasingly give way to the culture of the local neighborhood. Is Starbucks focused too much on the external?
Starbucks is more than a business. As one journalist notes, what began with a simple cup of coffee is evolving into a coffee experience. This is true for both customers and employee partners. Culture is taught at the corporate level to all employees, specifically in town hall meetings.
How does the leadership at Starbucks at the corporate level impart the culture of Starbucks to its new employees?
Weekly town hall meetings. Howard's speeches address everyone. Starbucks is a very transparent company. Culture is spread cup by cup. One new employee, fresh out of college, tells us how she became a Starbucks employee. Networking.
What brought you to Starbucks?
Networking. Lots of time meeting with people. Want to have coffee? Was the way I approached networking to eventually be introduced to someone at Starbucks corporate. Another Starbucks longtime employee and manager tells how she takes Starbucks out to the community.
You mentioned that you did some volunteering with Starbucks. Are you paid to do that?
We are not paid to volunteer. We do it for our customers. Your customers are your community. They come into us, and we need to go out to them. We also donate to nonprofit raffles. Starbucks' tight community feeds the brand loyalty and enriches its employee managers' lives.
So you've been at Starbucks for over 10 years. What do you like best about the culture? And what keeps you at Starbucks for so long?
I love to come to work every day. My customers are my friends, and I look forward to seeing them every day. When I daydream, I can never think of a better job to have. I love Starbucks. The company adapted the Italian coffeehouse style into an communal American language that loyal customers speak fluently. Starbucks culture thrives from top to bottom, from side to side. After some business ups and downs, the culture is thriving. It seems everyone has had a Starbucks experience. What's your story?
You feel special as you walk by a Starbucks. It's a smell that enters your nose. It's a smell of coffee. It's a smell of a culture that's relatively new. I admit, I'm hooked on this stuff. It's so sweet and it's so tasty. I love Starbucks. I was taken to Starbucks by a friend a few years back. I purchased a venti caramel frappuccino with whipped cream. It was so tasty and I was hooked. Now Starbucks is an organization that's very successful. Leadership experts maintain that there is a method to the degree of their success. Within an organization, there are 4 frameworks that exist. These frameworks are the structural frame, the HR frame or human resources, the political frame, and the symbolic frame. It is important for leadership to understand these frames and to strike a balance amongst all 4. This tactic, along with charging people $5 a cup, makes good business sense. We're reporting live for Gonzaga University. I'm Carlo Romero. Let's go get some coffee. As Starbucks grew from a local company to a large multinational corporation, the need to develop a structure that would ensure consistent product quality and an efficient flow of information also grew. One structural frame tenet that stands out in the Starbucks organization is the reliance on standardized training and strong SOPs. While individual stores take on some elements of the local environment, the key to Starbucks' success is providing a quality product and a strong sense of place that are ensured through these practices. The use of this structural frame tenet is an excellent way to ensure that Starbucks' strong human and cultural frame strengths are conveyed throughout a large organization. Today, as a large corporation, Starbucks has specialized a number of functions, particularly in their corporate office. Functions such as marketing, legal, operations, and others all illustrate a recognition that division of labor allows an efficient focus on a part of the Starbucks whole. However, the organization chart is relatively flat for a large organization, and communication is encouraged and supported from the lowest levels of the organization to the highest. Additionally, at the store level, there are only 3 tiers: manager, supervisor, and partners. This flat organization was seen to support a balance between necessary structure and the ability to be responsive and flexible to changing consumer trends. In response to global expansion, Starbucks reorganized in 2011 to allow greater focus on the unique aspects of each region: the Americas, China, the Pacific, and Europe, and the Middle East. This organizational model will allow Starbucks to cater to each region and its needs, and focus on the practices and products specific to a particular region that ultimately allows for continued growth. This illustrates a design that is, in particular, attentive to company goals and the current environment in each region. While Starbucks has seemingly applied structural frame tenets with great success, there are several points to consider for the future. Starbucks employs business managers for each of their 3 regions. These business managers work closely with global consumer products and food service teams to meet business and operation needs. This creates a matrix of leadership for subordinate managers and leads to a potential for conflict and mixed communications. Starbucks will need to rely on its strong human resource frame orientation and clear mission to help ensure friction between leaders is minimalized and success continues.